What's up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of VCC Live. I'm Kevin Skipper with co-host Nick Green and Jay DeLuco. A little bit out of order today, but Jay wanted his snow in there, so we had to redo some resizing and make it fit, which has never happened to Jay before in his life.
No, I'm Italian.
We have Nick back with us this week. Matt is still on vacation in Mexico. I think he went down before they got the wall up so he could get back over.
His pale ass will have no problem.
Yeah. Gringo. But anyway, how is everything going? Nick, you were on a trip this past week to Atlanta. How'd that go? What happened?
Yeah, it was good times, man. I've never been to Atlanta before. It's one of those cities, kind of like Pittsburgh, that I never thought I would go to, but because of vaping, now I find myself in Atlanta. And it was pretty cool. The event itself was fairly large and fairly busy the whole time. I was talking to one of my buddies, Russ, he's been around in the vape industry for years and years and years now. And we were talking and we're like, it kind of feels like 2014 in here. Like it had that vibe to it. Like it felt like a really, I don't know. It felt like it was in 2014 and it was a fun event. In Atlanta, we went to this great restaurant called, what the fuck was it called?
That's a weird name for
I can't remember. I know that is a weird name for the restaurant. I can't remember what it was called. Vortex. It was called Vortex, and you can vape inside the restaurant. Like, that's their rule.
Cool.
On the front of their menu, it's printed that you can vape in here, and if you don't like that, then you can leave. And I was like, that's amazing. And the place was packed. And so me and Dwayne and Kent were in there just clouds while eating burgers. And it was amazing. Like, no one said anything and no one said, well, even that's a little bit too much. Like, they're like encouraging it. They're like, yeah, vape in here. Go bananas.
The place we went to in Pittsburgh last year, remember that one night? They were like, oh, yeah, vape friendly, vape it up, whatever. Remember that?
Oh, yeah,
I thought that was kind of
yeah.
cool. I don't remember the name of that place at all, but it was a cool place. And they were the same mentality.
Was I there?
Like vapors took. Yeah, you were sitting right next to Phil.
Yeah, Basardo.
He was doing shots of
that
Grand
place,
Marnier.
the bar. Yeah, the bar. Yeah.
Well, it was a restaurant. We were in the bar part, of course. But
Right. Great wings.
Right. But yeah, it was
cool.
It was
when you come
cool.
across places like that are accepting and It's
Yeah,
really
it was just really super random. Just some guy that I met there. He's like, if you guys need a place to eat, you should go to Vortex in Midtown Atlanta. And we're like, yeah, cool. Like, I didn't think that we would actually end up there, but we did, and it was awesome. I'm really glad we did, and we were the only vapors that we saw in there. It was awesome.
That is pretty cool.
It was
All
good
right,
times.
well, nice. Hey, what's up, everyone in chat? People are saying, hey, what's up? Rob, how you doing? Tom, Albert. If you guys are watching live, make sure you hit that like button real quick. I'll remind you a few times, and also share the link once we get the replay up. Jay, I'm assuming work and looking forward to the snow that's coming your way.
Work, yeah, a lot of work. I've been having joint problems. I'm getting old.
You need to move to a state that legalized it.
I was gonna say, do you mean dubage problems?
Dubage.
Arthritis. The age is starting to catch up with old J-Bo.
I should go back to some old episodes and make a soundboard, and one of them would definitely be dubage.
Yeah, dubage.
And also dripping teens, or what was the one you came up with, Nick? That show was hilarious. Anyway, anything else going on, Jay, in Massachusetts? Any updates from there?
No, we've got a meeting on Sunday to talk about next steps after the meeting with the senator, the sponsor of the bill that will pass a 40% wholesale tax, which went well. But yeah, we're just meeting up to go through next steps, finalizing, hopefully, making the organization official again. We'll see. The website is now down because there was nobody left to pay the bills. So, a lot of little things like that need to get done, and then
Perfect.
Trying to organize a strategy for the next year.
Cool. Well, I've been doing pretty much the same as everyone has the same routine that they do. Working on VCC, Tampa. Last week and a half, interest has picked up considerably. So yeah, if you guys are interested, make sure you visit vapingcc.com or hit me up. I hate that phrase. I can't believe I just said it. Email me or call me. Hit me up. I hate it. I can't stand it. Call me.
Why?
Email me. I don't know. It just is one of those things
does
that
that bother
annoys
you?
me. And also
Okay.
working on Breathe. We might have a format change for Breathe, but I'll discuss that at some future point. Breathe Magazine, of course, breathemagazine.com, BRETH. And VC Liquid's working on getting that out there. It's just the same thing that you guys do, videos and Amber Juice
Yep.
and Hingham Hill and work and life and family. And, in the interim, we get to do a little advocacy and catch up on news stories and bring you guys VC Live. So we hope you appreciate it. So tonight we're going to be talking about a few different things, and probably I think worldwide, globally, the most important news in the past long time would be what came out of New Zealand this past week, where their government is going to officially make it legal to vape in New Zealand. They are going to have some restrictions and stuff on it, but nothing that's unreasonable. No sales to anyone under 18, can't vape indoors. That one's a little questionable, but if they're going to allow it and the government's going to support it, then why not? So I'm going to pop over real quick to full screen, and we're going to go over a few articles that I found. So this is from the newzealandherald.co.nz, and again, all these links that I go over tonight will be in the description. It says e-cigarettes will be legalized, and they spelled it wrong, but that's how they spell it in British countries. E-cigarettes will be legalized with one expert concerned at how widely products will be available and if children will see advertising in dairies. I'm not sure what that means. The government announced today it will change the law to legalize the sale of nicotine e-cigarettes. Products will be legally sold at some point next year. The change is a big win for e-cigarette industry. Its products won't be in plain packaging, nor will the hefty taxes on normal tobacco be applied, which is awesome. Associate Health Minister Nikki Wagner said the change came despite the fact scientific evidence of the safety of e-cigarettes was still developing, and despite stressing the quote-unquote low-risk approach taken because of the lack of certainty. Wagner encouraged reporters at Parliament to try vaping. I have quote-unquote tried vaping, but I'm not very good at it, but I don't smoke either. I suggest anyone who smokes here has a go at vaping too. Around the world, we can't get clear research about this, but what we're thinking is they are about 95% less harmful than cigarettes. The new rules, I'm assuming they got that from England. The new rules for all e-cigarettes and e-liquid products, whether they contain nicotine or not, include restricting sales to people 18 years and over, banning vaping in indoor areas where smoking is prohibited, and restrictions on advertising. Broader e-cigarette advertising, such as radio, TV, and billboards, won't be allowed, but retailers will be able to display products at the point of sale. There were some other good quotes. I don't want to read the whole thing. It's kind of long. Today, Wagner said if an e-cigarette got approved as a stop-smoking medicine under the Medicines Act, the government may consider subsidizing it. About 546,000 Kiwis, which is what New Zealanders is known as, smoke daily, 15% of the adult population. Every day, on average, at least 13 people die from a smoking-related disease, about 5,000 a year. This is for New Zealand. Half of smokers die from a smoking-related illness, and on average, their deaths will be 14 years earlier than if they didn't smoke. So it's good to see, I'll come back over to us, it's good to see some positive changes happening at the governmental level, and also some positive information and factual information about vaping getting out there in news stories. Have you guys seen this yet this week, and what do you think about it if you have, or if you haven't for the first time, what do you thought?
I'm completely amazed. What a complete 180. New Zealand and Australia were both like early on. They were very, very anti e-cig, almost to the point of looking like some sort of disease that they had. Like they just had like e-cig Tourette's. Like they just had it in for e-cigs, and then to see New Zealand just pull a complete and utter 180, almost turning on a dime. It's amazing to me, and just like I said with England, I'd love to see what's been being said in the back rooms over the last 6 months or so to make this 180 happen, because we could certainly use that kind of influence here.
I think a lot of the I don't know how many governmental officials in New Zealand went to or at some point have seen, but I think a Billion Lives premiere in New Zealand probably played a huge role on this mindset change. I'm thinking anyway. Too bad it didn't happen in the United States, but I think that they were much more amenable to having something like that come out in New Zealand, and it's good to see that there are politicians that are open-minded and will take concrete evidence to heart when they're making these decisions, and not just about the money. Nick, what do you think? Have you seen anything about this week or?
Yeah, I just one of my subscribers has sent me a different article than the one you have, and I was reading it, and yeah, I mean it's fantastic. Like Jay said, they did a complete 180, and they're basically deregulating vapor products, which is, I mean, to me, that seems like the smartest possible thing that a government could do. Is it's going to keep vapors happy. It's going to keep the public happy. It's going to cut down on tobacco-related illnesses and deaths, and they can. I mean, they're gonna. I'm not saying that New Zealand's gonna tax it, but they could put a little tax on it, and people will continue using the product, and then they generate revenue for New Zealand. Like that makes so much sense in my head. I don't know why states in the United States want to tax it at like 95%. That's
Right.
not a money-making tax. That's a prohibition tax.
Right.
It makes no sense to me. Sorry, I didn't mean to turn that so negative, but yes, New Zealand.
I love that. I'm going to use that.
No, I think it's
not a revenue generating tax. That's a prohibition tax.
Yeah, that's not a revenue generating tax.
right. Just like
There's
what
no
happened in Pennsylvania. I mean, I don't even think that they realized what they did with the 40% wholesale tax and the 40% floor tax. They thought they were seeing a big payday in their future to make up for a deficit in their budget, but what actually happened was the opposite, and stores went out of business, and they lost a ton of revenue. That's asinine. It's counterproductive, and it's stupid for a state to think that way. And I'm glad to see a government. You know, New Zealand's probably about as big as Rhode Island. I don't know how big New Zealand is, pretty small, but I mean they are a government, and they have made a move in the right direction, in my opinion. And kudos to them. I hope other governments around the world take this as a sign of the way that the future is going to go. Anyone in chat have any comments about that? I'm doubtful that anyone from New Zealand's on right now, but they're like 20 hours ahead or something. I don't know.
Behind or below or something.
It's the same planet. It's not a different planet.
No.
I don't think they can actually be 20 hours ahead.
I think it's the Mesozoic era there.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, yeah, that was the first thing we were going to talk about tonight. I think it's great that New Zealand is doing this, and like I said, hopefully other, even states, United States, or countries get this information. Will they take it and use it positively? Probably not, because we're used to being pessimistic because we always get screwed here. But you never know. So yeah, the next thing I had scheduled to talk about was New York. There's a lot going on in New York. There's a lot going on in a lot of states right now. Some states are having successes and bills are not making it even through committees. I don't have the information to go over with you right now, but there are several states where legislation that was proposed, especially like Tobacco 21 and stuff, is not going through committees and stuff. But New York is one of those states where I think that they're going to bowl ahead with this until they get something. I just don't think they're going to let it go. But we do have, I do have some, oh no. Oh, I hit open email. Let's see if I can close that. Oh, sorry, you guys. Wow, that's awesome.
Damn you, Outlook.
Yeah, hit the wrong button there. My bad. We're going to go to, this is an article written by Brian Foydick, by the way, who's a contributor for Breathe Magazine. He's also a senior fellow with the Reason Foundation. And he wrote this really good article, and I'll read some of it, not all of it. It's kind of long as well, but it starts out with some good information here. Let me see if I can close all these things first. Sorry, guys. We're amateur YouTubers. We're not professional YouTubers here. So Nick is a professional YouTuber, but
do you monetize these videos?
That's a Ricky
anyway,
move, man.
So this is an article from Brian Foydick, and it's New York's anti-science e-cig crackdown. And he just had this, what did it say, the 30th, it was published yesterday in the New York Post. Governor Cuomo's Department of Health last week released survey data that he's using to bolster his case for a $12 tax on 30 ml bottles of vaping liquids and a ban on vaping indoors. I just want to say that is a prohibitive tax. It's not a tax to raise revenue, to use Nick's words. Yet the survey data and much other evidence undercut his case. That hasn't stopped legislators from piling on with efforts to ban coupons for vapor products, prohibit sales in pharmacies, ban flavored e-liquid, and even ban the sale of liquid used in vapor products altogether. State Senator Kemp Hannon, Republican from Nassau, says he's reached an agreement with Cuomo to pass the vaping ban. The first thing the governor, Hannon, and other legislators fail to recognize is that e-cigarettes aren't tobacco products. E-cigarettes contain no tobacco. Most contain nicotine, which is heated in a flavored liquid to produce an aerosol users inhale, but nicotine isn't exclusive to tobacco. The same nicotine is used in nicotine gums and patches used to help smokers quit. I'm just going to go down a little bit here. While it's true that any use of e-cigarettes has risen dramatically among teens in New York, standing at around 20% in 2016, most of the use is experimentation. Using data from 2014 national survey, Dr. Kenneth Warner of the University of Michigan concluded that non-smoking, quote-unquote, non-smoking high school students are highly unlikely to use e-cigarettes. Among those who do, most of them only on 1 to 2 of the past 30 days. And make no mistake, vaping is much, much safer than smoking. Last year, Britain's Royal College of Physicians, one of the oldest and most respected medical societies, published a comprehensive report on e-cigarettes stating that, quote-unquote, the hazard to health arising from long-term vapor inhalation from e-cigarettes available today is unlikely to exceed 5% of the harm from smoking tobacco. And I'll just conclude with his final paragraph. In his review memo, Cuomo argues that, quote-unquote, the unregulated marketing of vapor products threatens the gains that have been made in reducing tobacco use by youth and adults in New York. The report from his own health department demonstrates the opposite, that e-cigarettes and other vapor products might actually prove to be the best way to reduce youth smoking. Before we go on, I want to talk about this article because I do have a news clip from Andrew Osborne, who is in New York, and get a lot of good information from Andrew out of New York. But I think it's funny that the governor commissioned this study and it actually provided evidence that blew it back in his face. It backfired on him. But you know what? You know what they said? Fuck you. We're going to march forward anyway. And that it's just mind-boggling to me.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, that's unbelievable. And they have this is the same one where if you're caught with more than 100 mils of juice on you, then you get fined. That's the same one, right? I think it's New York that's doing that.
I never heard that. That's insane.
Yeah. You get officially listed as like a distributor or something, and then you get fined for not being a distributor, like a registered distributor. Where
do these people come up with this?
I have no idea.
Wow. Absolutely.
It's possibly the most horrible thing I've ever read. Like, how do you even reply to that? You just go, well, I mean, that's so far off the deep end. There's nothing, what can I say to that?
And you go out specifically to try to blackball the vaping industry in the state of New York, and your own state health department comes back and tells you the opposite information. I just think that's fucking hilarious.
Right. Yeah.
And the fact that he doesn't even take into consideration. I mean, he could have looked at this information from his own health department and said, you know what, this doesn't make sense. Let's just drop it. No.
Yeah.
What do? Let's march ahead with our $12 per 30 mil tax. $12 per 30 mil. Increase.
Vaping as an industry in New York State will be dead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
If this goes through.
If it's allowed to go through, it will be dead. I'm going to go back over and we're going to hear what Andrew Osborne has to say about that. Andrew is, it says somewhere here in one of these.
Yeah, what is
he owns a Buffalo vape shop and is vice president of the New York State Vapor Association. But anyway, so basically they did an interview with him on the local Channel 2 News in Buffalo. They cut out this intro part, but he was able to put it on his Facebook page. So I'm going to play it, and I know you guys can't hear it, but
I want to hear it.
He needs a stylist.
Actually, I can't hear it either.
I love you, Andrew, but you need a stylist.
Might be time to lose that little goatee, buddy.
He looks like a 12-year-old Penn Jillette.
Anyway, I couldn't hear it through Facebook, so I'm going to try to play this news article. They left off the front part. He was just talking about how vaping is less harmful than tobacco.
A relatively new industry is fighting a tax proposed in the state budget.
I actually can't hear this very well either. Anyway, I'll just read it because I can't hear it. It says, a relatively new industry is fighting a tax proposed in the state budget. The governor's proposed budget expands the definition of tobacco products to include vapor products used in e-cigarettes. It also includes a tax on e-cigarette liquid, which would increase revenue for the state at a time when tobacco tax revenue is decreasing. Why? Because less people are using cigarettes, dumbasses, which is what you should be proponents of. The state cities that increased The state cites that increased use of e-cigarettes among teens and an FDA study that found cancer-causing agents in half of e-cigarette samples tested as reasons to regulate vaping just like traditional tobacco. Andrew Osborne, who owns a Buffalo vape shop and is the vice president of the New York State Vapor Association, says that the proposed tax would be bad for business for New York's more than 600 e-cig shops. The governor's original proposed budget includes a tax rate of 10 cents per milliliter on e-cigarette liquid. It's usually sold in 50 milliliter bottles. What? No, it's usually 30, 60, or 120. So this would increase prices by $5 a bottle. Again, get your facts straight before you write a news story. The Assembly then put out its budget bill proposing a tax 4 times that would essentially double the cost of the e-liquid for consumers. So the governor was proposing a 10 cents per milliliter e-liquid tax. The Assembly put out its proposed budget and was 4 times that. That's insane, dude. Osborne thinks this will discourage people from quitting traditional tobacco cigarettes. The problem is for smokers and not just the increased cost, but the message that it sends from New York State directly to the smokers. They're basically saying that if they're going to tax it at the same rate or similarly, if they're going to regulate it just like it's smoking, then unfortunately for the millions of smokers across New York State, they're going to interpret that message as vaping is equal to smoking. It's probably just as bad, and they may actually be denying themselves something that could save their life, says Osborne. The budget
It's a feature, not a bug.
The budget proposal also adds vaping products to the Clean Indoor Air Act, which would ban the use of e-cigarette in vape shops. So not only are they proposing to tax the shit out of it, they're also proposing adding it to the Clean Indoor Air Act, which would mean that vape shops couldn't even allow consumers, vapors, or smokers to try the products before they buy them in their shop. Again, we've seen this elsewhere. We all think that is absolutely ludicrous. But again, the state of New York, I don't know what they're doing. I mean, New York and California seem to have the same mentality with their legislators.
It makes no sense.
It makes no sense. Nothing that they do has any reason or anything behind it. It's well, like Nick says, this is not a tax that's going to, raise revenue. It's a prohibition. This is what they're trying to do in New York. Not to mention 600 vape shops and the amount of jobs that they're going to lose in the state of New York. So kudos to Andrew again for all the work that they're doing, Andrew and the people involved with the New York State Vapor Association. Good job to you guys. And for getting on the air and getting in the news and at least trying to put some information out there that combats the bullshit that they're spewing. You guys have anything else that you've seen, or what do you think about the article or Andrew's comments?
I second what you said. Kudos to Andrew. I mean, he's really stepped up over the last couple of years, and he's just taken this advocacy thing kind of to the next level in New York. They're much more together than divided, as they have been, in the more distant past. So kudos to him. He also said something on Facebook the other day that really kind of stuck me. He said, if I hear one more time that we need to get organized in New York, I'm going to puke, or something along those lines. Right. And he's absolutely right. People just kind of knee-jerk reaction say, we need to get organized. We need to get organized. 90% of the time, there already is an organized entity of some sort in that state. They just don't have the level of participation or resources that they need, because the industry at large in said state just refuses to actually give up those resources or finances.
Well, I think people shouldn't confuse that for a lack of organization. They're certainly organized. They're certainly doing things.
Exactly my point.
Right.
Exactly my point. There's a great organization right now, as we've just seen in New York State. And if you're in New York State, you own a business, you're a consumer, find out how you can help them. Sniping from afar and saying we need to get organized it's insulting. It's insulting when there is an organization in place that is organized, and they're having a hard time getting people on board to help them out.
Well, I mean, and this is completely off topic. I had not planned on talking about this tonight, but this kind of brings up the same thing with people criticizing the actions of state organizations, or any organization really. I hadn't really heard of or watched the Vaping Legion. Have you guys heard of them? There's a guy named Tristan.
I've heard of them.
Oh, anyway, they do a show. They have quite a few followers, and people watch them. And a couple of weeks ago, there was a post that someone sent to me a screenshot of this guy Tristan, who I haven't met before, I don't believe. And he was questioning where the funds were spent at the FSFA and when I was with Vista and stuff like that. And then my initial reaction was I was pissed because I've spent a lot of time and my own money and a lot of my own personal time over the last 3 years getting this stuff going, helping out with Florida and helping out with Georgia, Tennessee, Massachusetts, stuff like that. And, your first reaction is, what the fuck are you talking about? I actually went back though and watched some of their episodes on the Vaping Legion. And while they're they're not like, their format is not like VCC Live and it's not like some of the other shows that I've seen. I truly believe that deep within themselves, the reason and their passion for doing this is to get people off of combustible tobacco. So while it's good to question, it is good to question, I guess, where money is going in certain state organizations and stuff. And I'm happy to talk with them at any time. And I actually said my cell phone number in the Facebook Live video that I did. But it's good that there are people out there who are keeping an eye on what's going on and making sure stuff is legit. To bring it back to New York, they do have a great organization in New York. They need support. And they need companies to come on board and help them so that they can fund the efforts that they're trying to do. If at any point I think any of their members have any question about where funds are going or anything like that, not saying that anyone has, but I'm sure that Andrew and those folks would be transparent with their records and stuff like that. So there are groups of people out there. There are concerned vapors out there, like the Vaping Legion, those guys, who are passionate about smokers becoming vapors and keeping this product around for smokers in the future. So I think that that's a fantastic thing. And I guess, never judge a book by its cover. Kind of inform yourself. And that's why I have this quote up here tonight. Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. And that was said by Nelson Mandela. And I think he knows a thing or two about changing the world. So educate yourself. Kind of know what you're talking about. That was kind of a rant that I went off on that I had not planned to do. But anyway, I think it's good that there are people out there who are so interested and so passionate about keeping this product around and keeping this industry around and watching out for the consumers. And, to the people out there who are doing it, God bless you. It's good work. To the advocates out there, especially in the states that are hardest hit right now, I've been there before. I know exactly what you're going through. It's a tough time. But I think that if you stay the course and if we can get more people to support these organizations at the state level, it's a great thing. And it's a great thing when you win. And it's crushing when you lose, trust me. I can imagine how the people in Pennsylvania have felt and California have felt over the last couple of years. But there's got to be some light at the end of the tunnel, I think. And you can't give up. There's no quit.
Yeah. No.
So that was a really long rant. Anything you guys want to add to that, or hopefully because
good.
I need a vape and I need
Good
a
rant.
sip of my water.
I think going back to your rant, which is good. I think a lot of people, vapors in the community, including myself, they get so fired up. Like they're very passionate people, and they just get so fired up that when we don't see immediate results, or we don't see things happening, or we don't see this happening. And then, it's like you see a picture of Greg Connolly at home and you're like, oh, well, that must be nice, and not advocating today. It's like, these people, these advocates, they can only do so much.
Yeah.
This is what they are capable of as humans. You know what I mean? And so it's like Kevin said, you have to trust the process. You have to stay the course, and don't get so fired up that you start attacking people, because that can easily happen.
Well, I also say quite frequently get involved, and it's good that people are getting involved, but we need businesses in these states where they have state organizations. And it's funny, I've noticed it for 3 years in Florida. I've been less active in Florida lately. I'll never dip out of the scene completely, of course, but I've been less active lately because it's time for other people to take up the reins and do some stuff in the different states. It gets tiring after a while, and I can only imagine how people like Aaron Fraser in Utah feel, and various people around that have been doing this for 3 or 4 years. It really grinds on you. You need a break from it, man. I'm telling you, it can't be. It's in your mind all the time when you're doing it. And we need more people to get involved, and we definitely need businesses. Because without the financial support to help pay the lobbyists and do the things that need to be done at the state level, it's just not going to happen. I mean, it's not going to happen. And what happens is you get bad bills like what are going on now, and you see an influx. So it's like this. You can get a little bumps here and there of people that are involved at the state level. And then when a bad piece of legislation comes across, you see a spike. And then as soon as that is, dealt with, dips right back again, because people, once it's out of sight, it's out of mind. And unfortunately,
Either that, or once people are actually divvied out tasks, it dips down even sooner.
oh, I'm not talking about just the companies becoming members, but yeah, when you start, trying to get people involved at the organizational level to help out, I mean, it's very tough. Tennessee is one of the best I've seen. They have a really great system set up in Tennessee. It's decentralized, and they have vapors who are actually helping in different parts of the state. And if you can do that in your state, that's fantastic. But for 2 or 3 people to try to handle it, when you have, like in New York, 600 e-cig businesses, 600. If they had a representative from each of those that were doing something, just one. I mean, just one representative from each of them. Can you imagine how much lighter the load would be?
Tennessee is kind of a special animal, though, because I mean they have this driving force behind, in Deemy, who absolutely like keeps these guys on fire.
It's more than
he
just
can
Dimitri, though. You have like people like Jonathan and Nicole, and there's a lot of people in Tennessee.
But that's just it. They kind of fed off of each other, and now it's just kind of snowballed into this wrecking ball of an organization. They're just doing phenomenal work down there. If we had a face like that in Massachusetts, man, forget it.
Yeah, but there are faces like that. People just have to realize that they can do it too. You have to be willing to do it. And in every state, there is somebody who can take up that mantra. I believe that there is.
I've been looking for it up here. It's tough to find.
Yeah. Well, and it's thankless work too, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
It's long hours and traveling and talking and meetings and suits and.
Yep. And then at the end of the day, you come home and somebody from a competing, quote unquote, competing organization is sniping at you on Facebook.
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely thankless work. And, I was working, obviously full time when I started the advocacy stuff with Vaping Convention Circuit. That was like 50, 60 hours a week at a minimum. And then another 20 or 30 hours a week. And you'd be shocked at the hours of the day people will message you with questions. I mean, literally any time of day or night, people messaging with questions. And and I'm usually up late, so I'm answering. And I mean, it's just something that you can't turn off. Advocacy is not something that you can say, I'm done with it for the day and I'm going to bed. You think about it all the time. And that's why I think people need a break from it for a certain, till whenever you feel like you're ready to get back into it full scale again. But you definitely can't do it for years on end, I don't think, and not get burned out on it.
Yeah, so, that's exactly what I did with MASFA. I refused a position, an official position with the new organization, but I'm attending every meeting. I'm on every phone call. I'm assisting them in any way. Not just with the transition, but with all the things that we learned about silly things like meeting management, delegating tasks,
right,
keeping people on point. All this sort of stuff. But I don't necessarily, I can't be there at all the meetings with the senators and the legislators. There's a lot of things that I can't do, but I sure as hell am going to make myself available to them if they have questions about the best way to do such and such or whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, what I learned in advocacy is people will let you do as much as you're willing to do, which means you could keep going until you kill yourself or run yourself into the ground. And you have to take a step back and try to inspire other people to do the work, or at least take some of the workload up so that you're not killing yourself doing it. And I think that, people like Andrew and Shell Hamill in Texas, and there's just the list could go on and on. There's a lot of great people out there doing great work every day, and it's thankless. So I want to say for a minute, and again, this is unscheduled and unplanned, but thank you all. I appreciate it. The vapors in your state appreciate it, even if they don't know who you are or what you're doing. The businesses that you're saving that allow them to continue doing business in your state appreciate it. Even if they don't know who you are, say thank you. So thank you from us at VCC Live. We appreciate it, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So yeah, that's New York in a nutshell, and a little bit of a rant that we went on. But so hopefully they're able to, in New York, do something about this absolutely obscene bill. Bills. I don't know. I think it's just the one that's all encompassing. But hopefully they're able to do something to stop that in New York. Because not only is it bad for the people of New York and the smokers of New York and the vapors of New York, it definitely sets precedent for other states in the future. So we've seen this for the past couple of years for sure. So had a couple of other news articles that I wanted to read. Just a couple of things that I came across today that I found interesting. I'll go back to full monitor and pop over to him here. First, we'll talk about this one. This is Yahoo Finance. I saw this, and I'm not going to read the whole thing. I just want to cover the first little bit, and I think that this is interesting. The global electronic cigarette, I don't know why they felt the need to distinguish that. The global e-cigarette market is expected to witness a CAGR, and I looked that up, and I can't remember what it means right now, of 16.6% during the forecast period to reach $27.67 billion by 2022. That's the global market. The global e-cigarette market has sustained significant attraction among tobacco smokers in recent years, owing to lesser health concerns related to it. E-cigarettes, also known as electronic cigarettes or vaporizers, are an either electronic nicotine delivery system or an electronic non-delivery nicotine system. And then it goes on to describe what they are. But anyway, I just thought that's kind of an incredible number.
What's a non-delivery system? Is that like
no,
USPS?
non-nicotine delivery. So you could have, a vape with or without nicotine. I guess they felt the need to distinguish it. $27.67 billion by 2022. If you don't think that governments aren't looking at this right now and licking their lips with taxation in mind, you're crazy.
Yeah.
Because everything that we're talking about, we could preface every show with, it's all about the money. It's all about, because that's what it's all about. Every time, we talk about anything to do with regulations or state bills or even local city or county ordinances, it's all about money. That's all it boils down to. And as that pie continues to grow and their piece is sitting there at this little level, they're going to continually attack us.
Yeah.
I mean, I just thought that's just, I haven't seen that number before thrown out there, $27.67 billion global market by 2022.
Yeah. How much are you getting of that, Jay?
I've got 2 wooden nickels and a diaper.
Yeah. That's pretty funny. And it's funny too, going back, people talking about, advocates having a stake in the industry. I mean, that's a massive number. And it's only going to grow. $27.67 billion over the next couple of years.
That's funny, because wasn't I reading an article a few weeks ago that vaping revenue has declined by like 15% or something over the last year or so?
Oh, this is globally, though. This is a global.
Not just United
States.
Okay. Good point.
Yeah. So in the United States, I would say maybe there's a little bit of a downtick at the moment, but
it's certainly plateaued.
Yeah, but I think we're in for a next generation of the vape boom in the United States as soon as we can tackle these FDA regulations.
As soon as we get the flap rims out of the community.
As soon as we're talking about the FDA regulations. We're not calling people out individually, Jay.
Okay.
Easy. That was easy to advocate for. See, no flat rims.
Boom. Wow,
I
look
don't
at
care if
you.
you wear a flat brim or round brim, if you blow clouds, if you vape Nautiluses. I'm advocating for you because you're not smoking. So I don't give a shit what you look like or how you vape.
Is that the plural of Nautilus?
Not a lie.
Not a lie.
Not a
Not a
lie.
lie. Not a lie.
There's a guy.
Not the truth, but not a lie.
Oh.
So yeah, that was just an interesting fact about the growth of vaping and how the industry worldwide, maybe not necessarily in the United States at the moment, but that's the forecast, from Yahoo Finance, and I thought that was pretty cool.
That's crazy.
And I had there was something else from Washington. I guess again, there's so many states that we couldn't cover them in an hour episode every week, but I guess the House Finance Committee voted 8-3 to raise the age of buying cigarettes, cigars, or nicotine-infused vaping products by 3 years to 21, with supporters saying it was an important way to cut addiction down the road. So this came out today at 11:55 a.m. So I guess either yesterday or today, Washington must have voted to the House Finance Committee. So that means it's moving along in the process. So that's a little update for you on Washington State. They are moving ahead with raising the age to 21.
Right. Well, they know that doesn't do anything, right?
Yeah.
No.
Apparently they don't.
If that's the worst legislation that they're facing right now, I consider them lucky, and that's a sad statement. But
yeah, well, that's like in Nevada. They're trying to put on a tax that's 5 cents per milliliter which, people are freaking out about. And I agree that we shouldn't be taxed, blah, blah, blah. It sends the wrong message. We know all that stuff.
Right.
But 5 cents per mil, that's adding $1.50 onto your bottle of juice.
Yeah, that could be absorbed by the shop.
And you can still vape it. You can still have access to it. You can still vape.
There are two ways that I think about that. Part of me thinks, what, if we were taxed at a reasonable amount, then they would be a little less apt to demonize us in other ways.
Right.
But at the same time, I recognize Demi's school of thought, which is once they get their teeth into you, it becomes very easy for them to just bite a little harder.
Yep. I've been saying that for a long time, and it's not going to change. It's the same way with every industry.
And ideally, that's how I kind of side. I err on the side of no taxation, because once it's there, they're gonna what is it? The frog in the boiling pot. They're just gonna slowly turn up the heat.
Slowly turn it up. Yeah.
But at the same time, part of me also feels, what, if we were taxed a little bit, maybe we would have a more respected seat at the table when this kind of shit comes up.
Right.
Absolutely
and
not.
If maybe we were taxed a little bit, it would give us, it's not this crushing blow right away. It would give us time.
Nope.
You know.
Fuck that shit. Zero tax
Right.
ever. Fuck you. I'm
trying to be realistic.
Ultimately, I completely agree with you, Kevin. I'm just kind of describing the thoughts in my brain about the policy.
Yeah, but the mentality of allowing a little bit of liberty to erode one little bit at a time is what's gotten to us where we are in 2017. I mean, our forefathers are rolling over in their grave. This is fucking retarded. You don't give an inch to the government. In fact, we tell the government
nobody's giving anybody anything.
Yeah, absolutely. When you say, we could probably go for. I understand what Nick's saying. 5 cents a milliliter is like a godsend compared to what they're going through in California over the last few years. They would probably happily fucking take that. Are you kidding me?
Right.
Yeah.
But you have to fight for everything that you can fight for. If you can get them to defeat that bill and kick the can further down the road. That's what the goal should always be. We're never going to win, but we might stretch it out long enough to where it doesn't become the hot topic of the day anymore. And I just don't agree with any tax at all, period, on vapor products. It is not a sin product. It is a public health benefit.
I agree.
But I
totally
understand
agree.
what Nick is saying completely. Some states would be like, fuck, 5 cents a milliliter, that's it, we'll take it. But that's how they get you. That's how they get you. They rope you in with a little bit, and then 10 years from now, I'll say this: when I started smoking in Florida, cigarettes were about $2 a pack, $2.50 a pack. When I finally quit, they were like $7, and that's over the course of 15 years. So it's something that they might fuck you slower, but fuck you they will.
Put that at the quote at the top next week.
That'll be next week's quote.
Kevin
they might
Skipper.
fuck you slower, but fuck you they will. So we definitely don't want.
But fuck you.
That's like a Yoda quote. Fuck you, they will.
Anyway, I wanted to end this week on what I consider to be a positive news article, and I've heard of this company before out of Texas. I've never heard of the gentleman that did the interview. So let me switch back over here. This is an article from U.S. News and World Report, which actually, I was kind of shocked to see this when I pulled it up today. Vaporizing American jobs. So this is taking a look at what the FDA regulations and what the government regulations are doing to the jobs in America, not necessarily the public health aspect of it, but. And this is from a gentleman named Stephen Turner, who I guess is with VapeLand out of Texas. And it goes on to describe his background in the military as a ranger, and I don't know what I just did there. I hit back somehow. And then he got out of the military, and in some point, I think it was in 2015, he got out of the military and became a partner in a Texas-based firm owned by his brother and 2 friends, where his wife worked as a salesperson. And it's VapeLand, and they do e-liquid and stuff like that. They had 30 employees at the time, and by the end of 2016, I'm kind of just skimming along here. By the end of 2016, their operation had grown to more than 320 employees, a number of them combat veterans, spread across 2 facilities located in Dallas, Texas, and a 4-person operation in Ireland, acting as a fulfillment center for European customers. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit here, and they talk a little bit about arguing it had the authority to do so under the Federal Tobacco Control Act, by which the U.S. Food and Drug Administration is empowered to take steps to cut down on teen smoking. The FDA adopted regulations bringing the entire vaping sector under its regulatory purview. As it now stands, anything vaping related not on the market before February 15, 2007 must be submitted to the agency for its approval. For VapeLand and Turner, this was devastating, and this is a quote from Turner. They placed regulations on us that imposed pretty major hurdles on our ability to stay in business. We spent over $100,000 just on registering the company and the products as they demanded, and that was before we had to deal with the pre-market tobacco application, Turner says. Anything we made had to be subjected to a rigorous, cost-prohibitive longitudinal study we would have to commission and pay for. It would have cost millions. Money the small but prosperous and growing business just didn't have. Jesus.
Preposterous.
In addition to being cost prohibitive, Turner labeled the studies the FDA was demanding as time prohibitive. You can't capture 7 years of data in a year and a half. You have to do the study, Turner said. Even if we did everything the FDA is telling us to do, they have 1 year to process the results. If they don't get to it in that time, we'd end up out of luck and out of business with no appeal and no place to turn. Absolutely great information here provided by Mr. Turner. Is this intentional on the FDA's part? Who knows? When you look at the difficulties Turner's company is facing, together with the fact most vaping products now on the market, indeed the entire industry, almost didn't exist before 2007, the agency's agenda becomes suspect. And all this despite vaping being possibly the best way to achieve the Tobacco Control Act's stated goal of procuring reductions in the level of teen smoking. Absolutely true. The data from the National Youth Tobacco Survey shows that as teen experimentation with vaping has grown over the last few years, youth smoking has experienced the largest decline in the survey's history. In people terms, this regulatory mess is a nightmare from end to end. It's potentially depriving smokers from having access to the only thing keeping them from picking up a cigarette. Countless new companies involved in the sale or manufacture or distribution of vaping-related items like VapeLand may move offshore or worse, just close. This is another quote. As a result of all this, of all the uncertainty regarding whether we can get these regulations repealed or even changed, we've already had to downsize, let some of our people go, and start work growing our international business out of our location in Ireland, Turner says. We didn't want to do that. We had to. Basically, he goes on to say that their goal was to create American jobs with American workers and have benefit the American economy, and especially with hiring veterans and stuff with this company out of Texas. So I'm not going to finish reading the article, but I thought it was a very positive and well-written article, and I'm glad Mr. Turner did the interview and kind of spotlighted this. Sometimes we as advocates and people in the industry tend to forget about or not emphasize enough how much of an impact the FDA's regulations and these state regulations are going to have on the jobs created over the last several years. Yes, public health is the main concern, but there are people with families who have invested their life savings into these businesses, and there are also people who wouldn't have had jobs otherwise that are going to lose everything if this happened, if we don't do anything to change this before August 2018. What do you guys, what do you think about that? We think about the article and the direction, the tone of it, and, just overall, what do you think about that?
So the job argument to us makes a lot of sense, and it hits home for a lot of us because a lot of us are in the industry. But for some reason, it's just a gut feeling. I don't think the job argument really hits home with any politicians, because then you kind of run into that slippery slope argument. It's like, oh, well, if you're making marijuana illegal, then you're putting all the marijuana owners out of business. Right. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's how they see it. So us using that argument is kind of falling on deaf ears. And that's just a gut feeling I get. Like, to us, yeah, I mean, people put their whole life savings into opening up a shop or running a vape store or, being a vendor or doing whatever. I've done that same thing. So it makes sense to me. But I think that the politicians and society's view of it is it doesn't quite strike the same chord with them.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's easy to regulate something that you don't have a stake in. Your family's not going to be losing their house or food off their table,
But I would say that that's why it's important to get in front of these legislators who are proposing these bills, because it's a lot harder for them to look you in the eye
Absolutely true.
and tell you that your business isn't worth saving.
Right.
You know, and in fact, it's worth destroying. You know,
Yeah.
because that's essentially what they're doing with a lot of these policy submissions, is they're looking to destroy your business. And it's a lot harder for them to do that if they're looking you dead in the eye, person to person, sitting in their meeting room and telling you that to your face.
That's why we constantly say on here, get involved. Go meet with your representatives. Tell them your story. It's easy to send an email, and it's easy for an email to be deleted. It's easy to send a message and the message to be ignored. It's not easy to look somebody in the eye as they're telling you, if this passes, I'm going to lose my business, my life savings. I have a family that I care. I mean, it's much more personal, and it's much more impactful if you do that, if you take the time to go meet with them and explain it to them. So to your point, Jay, it's absolutely 100% correct. Get out and meet people. You can't win this. We can't win this on social media and on Gmail. We can't.
Right. Or even with news articles, like Nick was saying, I don't think the public at large gives a shit.
Yeah.
Because you're talking about 325 employees. Who gives a fuck about 325 employees? Whatever.
Yeah, but multiply that by thousands of businesses.
Right. But the public at large doesn't care. They don't care about numbers that small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's definitely fuel for us. You know, I'm not saying that those articles shouldn't be published and people shouldn't do those interviews. I think they are of an ultimate net benefit. But yeah, I absolutely think that the public at large isn't necessarily going to care about that.
Unfortunately.
But if this article, which we're going to post a link in the description, so be sure to check the replay by tomorrow and share this article around and tag some shop owners in it. Maybe it will inspire some of them to get out and actually meet with their representatives and have an impact in what's happening in their local and state, and maybe even federal. If you can meet with your congressional representatives, it may have an impact on somebody and inspire somebody to do something beneficial. And you know, maybe if we share this article enough, I mean, people like to share negative shit all the time, and it gets 10,000 shares and 50 million people read it. We should be sharing this article, and we should get more people in front of more eyes, because it might pop up in someone's news feed, or you can print it out and take it with you when you go meet with your representative and say, I'd like for you to have a look at this. This is real, valid information about how it's going to negatively impact jobs in your district. But you need to have numbers for you from their district. You know, that your district has X amount of vape shops, X amount of people who vape, and X amount of employees, and X amount of
I would
space.
say those are incredibly important numbers to get if you're about to step in front of your local or state.
You want to have something that's going to personally impact their district, because that's what ultimately they care about. And those are
because they're never going to look you in the eye and say,
right.
You know,
Yeah.
they're just not going to do that. They're politicians.
Right.
So
Yeah, look in the eye and say, I really don't give a shit. It's not going to happen.
Right.
They'd be so
unless
scared
it's Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah.
Which actually
what's
happened.
that lady out in California? Oh my God, Nancy Pelosi.
Pelosi.
Oh my
Pelosi,
gosh.
Dianne Feinstein.
Yeah, Feinstein, Barbara Boxer.
Barbara Boxer too. Jesus, you guys have it bad out in Cali.
Dude.
But anyway, I mean, do the best
California.
you can with what you have, and you know, do something. It makes much more of an impact if the business owners go out and meet with their, you know, like this happened in Albany, Georgia. Jeremy Dollar and the Good Life Vapor crew went and met with Sanford Bishop, and he toured the facility and stuff like that. And look what happened with that meeting as a result of that relationship that they developed. He's now co-sponsoring HR 1136.
Right.
He's working with Tom Cole to try to get the predicate date changed. That's the kind of stuff that we need to be spreading, that kind of information, and that's the kind of attitude that business owners need to have and the approach that they need to take. We want to make allies out of the folks that live in the same district as us. They just happen to be representing us at some governmental agency. So make allies out of them, become their friends, and it's a lot harder to pass something that's going to hurt your friends than it is just some statistic or number of people in the district. So anyway.
Boom.
I guess that's about all we have time for tonight. Any closing thoughts? We'll go with Nick first, since he got moved up in the order.
Yeah, I'm in the top square. This is a big responsibility. Go to namberjuice.com, buy some liquids. No, I'm just kidding. But you can do that if you want to. Yeah, I don't know what to say. Like Kevin always says, get involved, do something. Chances are there's local advocates in your area that just need a little bit of help, and that's all you need to do.
Or fuck you, they will.
Yeah, fuck you, they will. Yeah. Also, I'm going to be gone next week, Kevin. I'm going to be in the UK.
Oh, okay. Can't broadcast live
here.
in the UK.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have maybe we'll have Matt back with us. If not,
Yeah.
I tried to get Andrew Osborne on tonight with us, but he was predisposed, so he couldn't join us. But maybe I'll see if we can get him on next week. Even if Matt's back with us, we'll see if we can get him on. I think I would like to hear a little bit more about what he's got to say about New York.
I've had him on my show a few times. He is phenomenal. He will run the show.
Oh. Awesome. A break. We should have Matt back with us next week. He should be back from vacation, unless he's too burned from his Mexican adventure, too sunburned to come on.
He looks
might
like
look
a cherry
lobster.
tomato.
Yeah. Jay, what you up to this coming week? Any closing thoughts for us?
The backdrop I have here, I am truly sad because I had 2 whole pork shoulders that I was going to slow smoke over the weekend, and now I'm going to get snowed and rained and iced on through most of Saturday. So I'm trying to figure out a way to jerry rig it up on my deck so that I can accomplish that feat. But we'll see how it goes.
Is this a common thing for like the 1st of April? Is it normally snowy?
I don't stop all year. I don't stop.
No, I mean snow. Is it something
Like weather-wise?
It's usually pretty rare that we get snow in April. But once every 2 or 3 years we get a bit of a storm. But this one, like, they're having a hard time predicting. Like, I'm getting predictions of anywhere between 6 and 24 inches for my area.
A pretty wide span.
That's a
They
huge
just have no
margin
idea. Fuck me, they will.
Well, let me tell you what it's going to be like in Florida this weekend, so you can think of me while you're trying to do your stuff on the deck. It's going to be about 85 and sunny. So when we're at the beach, I'll be thinking of you, Jay. Well, that came out kind of wrong. I won't be thinking of you, Jay. I'll be thinking of the sunshine and the beer in my hand. And Nick will be in the. When are you leaving for the UK, Nick?
Wednesday on the 5th, the day before my birthday. I'm actually turning 40 on the plane.
Oh,
because
wow.
I take off on the 5th and I land on the 6th in the UK.
Well, I beat you to 40 by like 3 weeks, and let me just tell you, there's no difference. There's no change, man. It's just a number.
I didn't think so.
So do a toast on the plane, and when you do that, I want you to do this on the flight. When you like your actual birthday, when it hits midnight, get like 2 little things, and one of them's from Kevin, and one's from Jay, and just toast yourself.
Just shots. Good.
I'm gonna continue to do the same thing. We're working on VCT Tampa. Again, any companies interested, visit vapingcc.com or send me an email to admin@vapingcc.com. It's turning out to be what I think will be a really great event. We're looking forward to having Nick. Ruby Roo will be there. Matt and Vanessa from Suck My Knob.
Wow. Wow.
Matt and Vanessa from Suck My Mod.
Ooh.
And Nick Bissett from Daily Vape TV. And maybe a few more people who we're working on right now. We'll announce those as we know more. But yeah, we're getting more companies on board. And it's going to be, I hope to recreate the same feel as well as events that we were doing. Actually, last year's Tampa was really good. I don't know why people are saying it's been a few years since they've seen an event that's, last year's Tampa was a great event. We had a great time. And a lot of people, like 3,500 people through the doors. And it was just a really fun event. So looking forward to trying to recreate that for a summer event in Tampa. And that's about all I can think of. So yeah, we're out.
I am registering suckmyknob.com.
Get involved. You're what?
Good.
What? I
said I am registering suckmyknob.com, but I think somebody's got it.
I feel like that's already taken.
I feel like it's
for
taken
sure.
As well. Yeah, like Nick's Dripping Teens. That's been gone for a while.
Yeah.
Anyway, get involved, meet with, and explain and educate those who you can, your representatives and smokers. And yeah, just, we're doing this for the right reasons, and we will prevail at some point. It's just going to take a little time. So remember, you don't have to do everything. You do have to do something. Get involved.